let's talk about the Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary celebration. I have to say, I was not expecting much out of this because a couple years ago when they did, I think it was the 20th anniversary, everyone memed on it because they were like, hey, you know, we got this Ultima fork, we got this wine, we have a picture of the Final Fantasy VII remake, happy birthday, Final Fantasy, and everyone was like, wow. So this year, I don't think a lot of people were expecting much. I heard some like people, you know, throwing rumors around, but the biggest thing I heard was that it was only 10 minutes. So a lot of people were just like, oh, it's just 10 minutes. The biggest thing we were thinking about was like, maybe we'll get some part 2 stuff, but other than that, you know, not that crazy excited. So I think we were all blown away by this. We've already all seen it. This is being recorded the day after, so we've all kind of had some time to sit on it and think about it. So we're just going to go through this and talk about it. The first thing they did, which I thought was really funny, was they showed like all the games back to back, and they put Final Fantasy VII every single time, every game. They put the word Final Fantasy VII again, which I gotta hand it to Square. They're always like, they always stick to their naming conventions. Like no matter what it is, they stick with it. And that's close to my heart because I feel the same way. I'm always very serious about what I name things. But it was just funny to see every single game, the word Final Fantasy VII scroll across the screen. I just thought that was funny. But they showed like every game, even Crisis Core and even Advent Children, which was cool. Then they jumped into this, which was just a bunch of Final Fantasy VII Remake stuff that we've seen before. But then, boom, available on Steam. A lot of people are talking about, oh man, I hope they say they're going to release it on Steam in like 2023 or something. That'd be really cool. Tomorrow, which is now today, available on Steam. So that's really hype. I know a lot of people are excited about that. I did not expect this really at all since it's already on the Epic Store, but people are talking maybe Steam. I don't think anyone expected it tomorrow, though, so that's pretty cool. Then they went into some merchandise. Yeah, let's go. Got to get the merchandise. Who's this guy? Does anyone know? I was watching, and I was like, who is this guy with the motorcycle? I don't know who that is. Was he in one of the side games or something? Anyways, so they showed some merchandise. All right, I kind of expected that. Then they showed some First Soldier stuff, which, okay, if you like First Soldier, that's cool. I'm not really into it, really just because it's a mobile game. I actually like Battle Royales, but I'm not really into mobile Battle Royales, so I'm not really into it. If you're into it, that's cool. The one thing I wanted to show, I think it's coming up here. New map. There it is. So I've been saying for all these years, I've been saying Final Fantasy VII needs more rocket launchers, you know? Where's the rocket launchers? We got Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy XI, Final Fantasy XII, no rocket launchers. Now, finally, we got a rocket launcher. I'm so excited for this. Might have to pick up the game. Because, I know. We asked and they delivered. We have a rocket launcher now in Final Fantasy VII. That's really neat. Okay. Now, listen. I have a lot of excitement right now for what's to come. I want you to know that I'm very excited to talk to you about what's coming up, and I'm very happy about what's coming up, okay? But we have to get negative here for a minute. So if you don't like negativity, just like play some happy music for the next couple minutes or something, because we need to talk about, negativity alert. We need to talk about Ever Crisis. I'm going to be brutally honest, okay? I'm going to be brutally honest with everyone right now. I really do not like the way Ever Crisis is going. I'm going to be honest. Like just full stop, hot take. I really dislike where Ever Crisis is going. I really do. Now, let me explain why, okay? So, the idea behind Ever Crisis is this. Another possibility for a remake. So, the idea behind this is, okay, all you guys that wanted a remake that actually kept the entire dialogue back with the OG, here's your remake, right? So this remake's going to have all the dialogue from the original game, and it's going to implement some of the other games and some of the other story. But what people wanted was a super realistic remade for newer generations game that has the original story. They didn't want this. Okay, so that's my first gripe, is that this isn't really what people were asking for anyways. But okay, at least we have some kind of playable thing with the new story, right? Here's a couple issues. Okay, first of all, I don't like the look of this. I just don't. Like, me personally, I think the original looks better. Honestly, like, just completely on. Play the Steam version, I think it looks better. I think the really nice pre-rendered drawn backgrounds with the touched up models on top legitimately look better than this. I don't like the chibi mobile look. Now, they've done the chibi mobile look before with games like the Chocobo race game and World of Final Fantasy and stuff. But with World of Final Fantasy, that game was gorgeous, okay? As much as I kind of dislike World of Final Fantasy for a number of reasons, that game is gorgeous. Watch the Sephiroth summon animation from World of Final Fantasy. It will blow you away. That game looked incredible. I still think it looks like a PS5 game at times. Like, it is so well made. It looks amazing. This looks bad. I don't like it. I think it looks bad. It's obviously made for mobile, so it's not going to look as good as World of Final Fantasy. But then that's what I'm saying. Like, what's the point? What's the point of having a remastered, revamped original Final Fantasy VII if it doesn't look good? Like, that was the whole point, was for it to look good and to bring the story back. This is just a crappier way to play Final Fantasy VII. And if the idea is, we want to have the original Final Fantasy VII super playable, right? We already have that. We have 5,000 ports of Final Fantasy VII. You can play it on anything with a computer chip in it. So I just don't really understand who this is for. Is this for people that don't have access to Final Fantasy VII? Because that person doesn't exist. Is this for people that want the original story but revamped? Because that's not really what this is either. It's a mobile game. You know what I mean? So then, there's the animation, which, just look at this Yuffie animation. Just look at this. Am I out of line here, or is that like the stupidest thing you've ever watched in your life? What is the point of revamping Final Fantasy VII if this is what it's going to look like? I don't. That's Regal waiting for his Chiggy Nuggies to be done. That's not Yuffie defending her country. It's just not there yet for me. And I'm not saying everyone cancel your pre-orders for the game, okay? I'm just saying right now, I don't like where it's heading, okay? Like, this just doesn't look for me, okay? It's just not doing it for me. So then there's the combat, which admittedly looks pretty cool and looks better, by the way. The graphics look better in the combat. But I'm looking at this combat and I'm thinking, okay, who is this for? Because I thought we wanted to bring back the original Final Fantasy VII. I thought it was the original Final Fantasy VII playable in today's standards, right? But that's not what this is. It looks like you just have a bar that fills up, and the further it builds up, maybe that's just the ATB, and then you can just select moves by touching them. Then there's an auto battle. Like, who is sitting around thinking, you know what I want? I want Final Fantasy VII, but I want it as a chibi adventure, and I want auto battle. Like, that's just not. Like, I don't even know how materia fits in. We have Ruinra. Like, it's just not, like, I'm okay with the idea of taking Final Fantasy VII and spinning it. But when you start all of this as another idea for the remake and tout it as like, oh, it's the original game with the original text, and we're even going to bring in the compilation series and talk about Advent Children and everything, you know? Like we're going to, or even like Dirge of Cerberus and stuff. We're going to bring in all the compilation stuff and talk about that. Then why is it so out there? Like what, you know? Why is it so different? So I don't know. It's just not hitting it for me. I either make it completely different or try to make it the same, right? But this is like a weird mixture, and it's just, I don't know. So, and then we see some cutscene, which looks cool. At least the cutscenes look cool. And then it says closed beta test in 2022. I don't know why you need a closed beta test, but okay. And it still says only for iOS and Android. So that's like the final straw for me. If it's only on Android and iOS, then this isn't really an attempt to bring Final Fantasy VII to the masses in a new way, which is how they're touting it. They're saying, we want to bring the original Final Fantasy VII text to the masses, but then you're only going to have it on iOS? Like, that's just not, I don't know. Yeah, to me, it's an attempt to bring more money to Square. It's not an attempt to broaden the horizons of the Final Fantasy VII story. You're just trying to make a quick mobile game for $1. That's just the vibe I'm getting. If it were available for everything, then we could talk. But being only a mobile game and, you know, touting that it's for, I don't know. It's just not it. And then, one more thing. Shiva looks cool. The summons look cool. It's very flashy and stuff, which is cool. What is this? So now we're getting to it here. This is, let's put the original Final Fantasy VII story into a mobile game so people feel like they have to buy it, and then stick skins in it. So this is the vibe I'm getting here, is that this is a way to make more money off the Final Fantasy VII story. They've already ported it to everything known to man. They can't port it to anything else. So what do? Let's take the story, throw it into a mobile game, make it really flashy, and put skins in it. That's just the vibe I'm getting. This isn't for the OG fans. It's for people that want to buy skins. So I'm kind of, you got to bring me back with Ever Crisis, because it's not doing it for me. That's just my opinion. If you're excited for Ever Crisis, that's fine. Let's move on. Enough of the negative. All right, so then we get,
boy, oh boy. The price of freedom is steep.
Zach speaking.
Making progress, Zach?
And Gio. I can cut loose, right?
Within reason.
It's showtime.
the crazy lads finally did it. They finally did it. So many years
a month ago
of people saying, where's Crisis Core? Where's Crisis Core? Every time we talked about the remake, what about Crisis Core? When are we going to get Crisis Core? What are they going to do with Crisis Core? Is it stuck in purgatory forever? Can they not get the rights to everything? Just you guys can't, I can't even begin to describe to you how many times I've read Crisis Core remake ? In my chat or in my YouTube comments. It's probably talked about more than anything else in the series besides just the remake in general. I can't think of anything else that people have talked about more than this. So, very, very exciting that this is happening. How does it look? It looks pretty good. It does look very remaster. You even have, like, it seems like it's all the original text. It seems like it's the original, like, cutscenes and everything. You have the slot machine. You have the combat seems the same. Like, it all seems the same. So I mean, it looks good. But the ending is what I want to show.
Heaven?
Oh, by the way, this looks sweet. Look at that.
It's
First, embrace.
This is what I want to see. Boom. Look at this. This winter, and on everything, even Nintendo Switch, this is so important because the whole thing that everyone wanted was not on PSP. That's the biggest thing with Crisis Core. It's just really hard to play because it's only on PSP. So the fact that they went the extra mile, Steam, Xbox, Switch, and PS4, PS5, that's a big deal. Like, I think they realize what people wanted with this, you know? Like, I got to give them credit. They don't always understand exactly what we want. I feel like with Crisis Core, they knew exactly what we wanted. We want a remaster, not a crazy remake, just a remaster, and we want it playable on as much as possible. And that's exactly what they did. So big kudos. Pretty excited about this. I know so many people are going to be excited about that. And it's coming out this winter. Like, what? That's crazy. So that was that. Now we have the
what we've done.
this.
That's set in stone. The past is forever. But the future, even if it has been written, can be changed. So focus on the future, not the past.
He wants to finish what he started. He wants to reclaim his birthright and rule over the planet with Genova at his side. I saw you lying there. I figured it was too late.
Wait, what are you implying? That I died? That I'm some kind of imposter?
You were here with me 5 years ago. Where are you? What happened to you?
I'm trying so hard to find you.
Sorry. Feel like I failed you.
Okay. So they did this so well. I can't like they did this so well. So every line in this is so perfectly made so that we don't actually know for sure like
That's
where
set
they're
in
going.
stone. The past is forever. But the future,
So-
even if it has been written, can be changed.
The future, even if it has been written, can be changed. It sounds like they're going, you know, because everyone's talking about multiple timelines or flashback or, you know, all the stuff that they set up in the original. You know, is this going to be the original story or are they going to go crazy Kingdom Hearts on it, right? So she says that, which could mean multiple timelines, crazy Kingdom Hearts. It could just mean she's talking about the flashback and the fact that, like, she knows where Sephiroth's going.
So focus on the future, not the past.
Focus on the future, not the past. That's kind of the way she was talking in the first game, too. So, does Aerith know more? Who knows? Then we have
To finish what he started.
Cloud talking about Sephiroth, which is pretty... like, this is just what they knew already. What is Sephiroth's endgame? Is it going to be different? Who knows?
I saw you lying there.
Now, this part...
It was too late.
Wait, what are you implying? That I died? That I'm some kind of imposter?
Now, wow. Like, what? So, she could just be saying kind of what she was saying in the original, where she's like, I'm not really sure how I survived. Because the whole thing in the original is that they don't know that Zack was there. So, they're both confused as to why, like, Tifa could have survived. But once they realize the truth later, it makes sense. So, they could just be talking about that. They could just be talking about the original plot twist. But they could also be talking about multiple timelines, Kingdom Hearts craziness, in that, like, somehow she died in one version of the story, but then didn't die in the other. So, like, there's so many different ways you can take that, and they did that on purpose. What is fact and what is fiction? Come on, Square, what is going on? Just tell us what's going on. Then you have this, which, okay, White Feather being there when Zack and Cloud are walking. How is that possible? Was Sephiroth there? Or is this just part of the trailer? Like, the white feather is showing us all the things. So, like, or is it Angeal? Yeah, I mean, it could be. But, like, is this feather just kind of in each scene because that's just the way the trailer was made? Like, is that just the styling of the trailer? Is like we're following this white feather as we're seeing all the parts of the trailer? Or is the white feather literally there? So, like, there's so many different ways you can interpret it, and I know they did that on purpose. So, man, they just know exactly how to, like, pull it.
Sorry.
So we don't exactly know.
I feel like I failed you.
And then there's this, and then there's this. So let's actually go forward. First of all, next winter. What? Like, people were saying, okay, Final Fantasy 16 is going to come out soonish. They're saying it's, like, pretty much done. Kingdom Hearts 4 got a trailer way before this. So if we're going by those standards, it should come out before this, but probably not, because we know how Kingdom Hearts goes. But, you know, they already showed a Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer. And then they show this trailer, and they're saying next winter. People were thinking 24, 25, you know, because we have to get Kingdom Hearts 4 or release Final Fantasy 16 out next winter. Like, what has Square Enix been doing? Have they been locking everyone in the office and saying, get it done? Because holy crap, we have the Crisis Core remaster coming out this winter. We have Ever Crisis in closed beta. We have Final Fantasy 16 soon, and now this next winter. Like, holy cow. And I mean, Square is known for saying stuff like this and then pushing it back. But the fact that we even have a window, because normally they wouldn't even give a window. Normally they'd just be like, coming soon. So the fact that they gave us a window means that it's pretty far in production already. So that's wow. And then let's talk about this. There it is, boys. That's actually kind of crazy. I think this is crazy. I think this is crazy that they're saying this already. And someone in the chat said it's because they're already starting on part 3. So I guess that makes sense. But, I mean, kind of mind blown here. Because this is a question that, probably the biggest question I get, period, about the remake is how many parts, how many parts, how many parts, how many parts do you think it'll be? How many parts do you think it'll be? So, there it is. They're saying 3 parts already. So, that's interesting. Shout outs to Zuloff. He's been saying for the last couple months that there will never be a part 2. He's right. There's no part 2. It's called Rebirth. So he wins the internet. He was right the whole time. There's not a part 2. It's just called Rebirth. I kind of like. What do you guys think about this? Do you like the name? Like, I feel like everyone's been calling it part 2 for so long that it's a bit weird that they changed the name, like, from a marketing standpoint. But I kind of like it. Because they're definitely going down the path of, like, this is its own thing now. The original remake was trying to do its own thing, but also trying to be close enough to the original to where people wouldn't be mad. And I think they accomplished that. I know some people, I mean, including myself, the ending was a bit too out there for our liking. But I think people focus on the ending too much. If you look at the 40 hours before the ending, it's pretty insane how well they made us feel like we were playing the original, even though it wasn't the original. So, you know, take out the ending, and I feel like they did such a good job making it a remake where, you know, I felt like it was very close to the original up to the end. So, but now that they're calling this one Rebirth, I feel like that's a better way of saying, like, hey, this is something different now, you know? I'm a bit confused because everything that I had heard up to this point was saying that the second game was going to be even closer to the original than the first. So maybe they changed their mind, or maybe it is going to be very close to the original, and the name is just kind of weird. I don't know. But to me, this is saying like they're going to go off the deep end and really like do something different. Yeah, I don't know. That wasn't like official. I don't remember. Man, that was a while ago though that I had read that. So I don't know. They could have just changed their mind. Or that could have been hogwash. I don't know. But regardless, this new name really says to me that like they're doing something quite different. Which I am so on board for. Like, so on board for. The original remake, I feel like they needed to hit both markets. Like, people that wanted to experience the original and people that wanted something new. But I feel like now that the remake exists, everyone kind of got that out of their system. And now if you're going to continue, if you're going to buy the second game, you're sold on the idea that it's going to be different, right? They don't have to, like, make sure that everyone's happy with the way, you know, they've brought up certain things. And I'm sure they'll still do that. I'm sure they're still going to have all sorts of cool callbacks to the original. They're still going to make us feel super nostalgic for the areas and stuff. But I'm just saying, like, in general, they don't have to tiptoe around people's feelings anymore. And because people were so excited for the remake for so many years, now they can finally remove the shackles and just do what they want to do, right? You have Ever Crisis, and you have 7 million versions of the original, and you have Final Fantasy VII Remake if you want to have the nostalgia trip of the original game. This is now their new thing, right? So I'm really happy about that. You know, with the way Intergrade went and how they really just went crazy with Intergrade, I freaking loved it. So we'll see what happens with Rebirth. Unfortunately, we didn't get any like answers to any of our like gameplay questions. Like, is there going to be a flashback? I mean, it seems like there's going to be with the way Cloud was talking, because that was all the flashback text. But like, we still don't know exactly how the flashback's going to work. We don't know how equipment's going to work or anything like that. We don't know how Red 13 or Yuffie is going to work, or if they're going to be in the party or whatever. So we didn't get like any mechanical answers. But yeah, we got so much more than I thought we were going to get. Totally blown away. They said this was going to be 10 minutes. It was not 10 minutes. It was like 18 minutes. Or no, actually, this says 14 minutes. 14 minutes, 42 seconds. So I was pretty blown away with how much they talked about. And really excited for everything. Still blown away that we have so much coming up now. So many games to look forward to. The Crisis Core remaster, Final Fantasy 16, Kingdom Hearts 4, and Rebirth within the next 2 years. So yeah, that's wild. And I still can't believe that it's officially 3 parts now. Now, instead of everyone talking about how many parts is it going to be? How many parts is it going to be? Now it's going to be, what's the third game called? What's the third game called? What's the third? That's going to be the question for the next for the next 2 years. What's the final game going to be called? And everyone, a lot of people are talking about the Red Rebirth is in Red too. It's interesting. I think there's going to be, I don't know, like totally spitballing, but with the Red and the name Rebirth, I don't know, maybe they delve really far into like Sephiroth and Genesis. Like maybe we get a lot more backstory with Sephiroth and Genesis and like their interactions. Maybe a big part of the game is actually the flashback. Like maybe instead of it just being a small part, maybe the flashback is like a really big part and they explain a ton of stuff. Maybe we don't get control of like the main party until 10 hours in or something. And maybe that's how they deal with like starting with good equipment, is that you're just in the flashback for a really long time and then you come out and, you know, you have Cloud with pretty good equipment or whatever. Maybe. Yeah, you know, maybe Crisis Core finally getting a remaster isn't such a coincidence, and maybe they want to like catch everyone up because there's going to be a lot of Crisis Core stuff. I mean, with a name like Rebirth, I do think I do think there's going to be a lot more emphasis on that stuff, on the extended lore. But in the remake canon, so it's going to be all new. From what we saw in Intergrade, I don't want to spoil anything for those of you that haven't played Intergrade yet, but from what we saw in Intergrade, it seems like they're sticking pretty close to the original story in terms of the compilation. So are they might stick to that, or they might go crazy Kingdom Hearts and be like, the compilation was its own timeline, and in the compilation timeline, Tifa died in the reactor, and then there's like this new timeline with Aerith being the god of the planet, and she knows everything, and she revived Tifa. I can just imagine in our timeline, Aerith is like an angel from heaven, and she revived Tifa during the flashback, and then like in another timeline, she died, and Genesis happened. Like, oh my god, it could just be like completely out of control. I don't know. It's going to be fun to talk about. But regardless, gotta put an end to this conversation at some point. I loved this. It was awesome. They said way more than I thought they were going to say. Not very excited for Ever Crisis, but other than that, everything they showed was really cool. Even the first, excuse me, even the first Soldier thing was cool. Just because it's good to see Square supporting their game, because that's one thing that Square struggles with, is when they release a game, they don't support it very much. So it's cool that they're supporting First Soldier. Like, that's just good to see them do, even if you're not into First Soldier. So really everything they announced was really cool, really exciting, and I am excited for the next 2 years. It's going to be an interesting 2 years in Square Enixville.